Good evening, everyone, and what can I say? Welcome to City Hall, the home of London's government and the home of the Mayor of London and the London Assembly. I've had the honour of working with officers of the Dialogue Society for many years now, and this is the second Iftar supper that we hosted here. I would like to thank the Society for asking me to speak at this very special event. And I know the theme for tonight is human rights violations, specifically in Turkey, and persecution against the peaceful Hizmet movement, followers both here and abroad in Turkey. I'm going to share with you my experience of a visit that I took in December. And I embarked on that visit because I have the honour of representing Hackney, Islington and Waltham Forest. And I've done this for 18 years. So I'm on my now second generation of young people who call me auntie. And I've over the years been hearing more and more concerns from the families that I represent. The horror from the young people who cannot believe what they're hearing is happening. And for me as well, I just, my heart was so given to Turkey because of visits and friendships that I've made, that I needed to go there to actually experience what was happening there myself. I'm just going to share with you a summary of a paper that I wrote following that visit, and then just look and give you an idea of what I witnessed. And you know, without doubt, our beloved Turkey is in a perilous state. We only have to listen to the heartbreaking stories coming out of Turkey to be there to experience and see some of the stuff going on, and then, you know, try and get our heads around how this has happened and how we can now be in this place of Turkey under the Erdogan regime. Myself and many delegates from across the EU visited Ankara on the 6th and 7th of December. And we were there specifically to witness the legal cases against the HDP, a political party that had got some MPs now regionally and nationally. And as a politician, that was, if you like, my first fear, that if you have a country where it's possible to arrest MPs for speaking up on for their constituency, to arrest MPs for their press releases, then it causes a shockwave, not just in that country, but across the world. And so we heard and we spoke to the lawyers, the brave lawyers, many of them who had been in prison themselves, and their crime was just representing other citizens. We met members of education, we met journalists, and they had been imprisoned for many, many days. In the case of Mr. Jennette, he had been held in pre-trial detention for 399 days before he was given a date for a hearing, and we were there before that hearing. The second day that I just want to share with you briefly gives you a feeling of what we experienced. And the prison campus that I'll refer to is the Simkan F-type prison campus on the outskirts of Ankara. Another icy grey morning in Ankara, and we international observers again pile into 2 coaches and then into the crowded buses for the drive to Simcam prison complex. On the way we discuss what we predict will happen this day. Can it be any worse than we experienced yesterday when we were surrounded by water cannons, when we were harassed, when we were denied the normal courtesy of international political observers, even though we had been invited and we had paid the tax, you know, the visitor tax, and we were told that we would be welcomed. We were met with hostility, anger, and it was quite frightening. Anyway, so the second day, we said we would continue to see what was happening today. Would it be any worse than yesterday? Well, the scene that we arrived was dramatically different, because the first day we had been the only ones there because it was very difficult for locals to get there, because things started at 9:30 and the journey was very difficult. However, hundreds of people had assembled there, and in spite of the ban on buses coming from the southeast and other regions, many found their way there to support their beloved leader. His passionate and fiery speeches in Parliament and outside at rallies and press conferences, calling for what we would expect a Member of Parliament to call for: human rights, not just for Kurds but for everyone in Turkey, for an end to violence, for the rights of women, for peace. They were fiercely and are fiercely proud of him and remain angry and furious at his detention. There were many women of all ages gathered, everyone. It was a very bitter, cold day, and so amongst us there was lots of huggings and what have you, and glarings from the police squad surrounding us. We were glad to see that us, the UK delegations, because it became quite fearful at times, and so we were glad to see that the British Embassy were there, so at least they would witness if we were taken away and detained. It became clear that we weren't going to be allowed into courts, although we were told by the assistant to the judge that we could. We were told by a police officer that we couldn't, and that we were ordered to leave the area. And then when we saw the water cannons drawing nearer to us, as they had done yesterday, we decided that it was best that we left, because more people now, we didn't want to be accused of being a force that was instigating. I have to say, I myself was being picked at, pointed at, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was the only black woman there. But I was highly visible, and so were a number of other delegates from across the EU. Back in the city, all we could do was reflect on the awful experience we'd seen. We met with delegations from civic society, from the legal services. And what they did was they asked us to redouble our efforts to disseminate information on what is happening in Turkey to as wide an audience as possible. Myself and other delegates we made our commitment to do that, and we continue to do that. We've written, we've had our work published, and we are speaking up about what we saw. We are, as a politician, I'm horrified that other politicians find themselves imprisoned for hundreds of days, waiting for trial, with a threat of over 140 years in prison. That's what the prosecution is asking for here. So, at the end of our visit, as I said, we produced a statement. We've been going around, if you like, raising awareness, telling our story. I would like to finish by once again saying that the cases that we observed are of utmost importance for the future of parliamentary freedoms as well as the rule of law in Turkey. I'm sure that we're going to hear some more examples later on. I'd like to thank everybody from the Dialogue Society for the wonderful work that they do, especially my good friend and campaigner, Tamer Gijit, your brilliant community organiser, who's known by now all of the Assembly members over the years that he's been coming and campaigning and sharing stories with us and being involved in spreading democratic practices around the community. I'd like to finish by thanking the chair of the Dialogue Society and to say congratulations on the work that you're doing, and finish by saying peace to you and peace to us all. Thank you very much.